Morning guys. Well, as you can see, it's clutch time. So the things that I'm going to need are one new pilot bearing and a socket that fits over, as the old one, that fits over the outer edge, this side of the black circle, not the inside. Don't want to touch that black circle, so we can knock that in. Okay, bearing, the new O-ring kit, 3 O-rings there, make sure you put them in, and lock nut, brand new lock nut. Okay, now we also need a friction plate. This is brand new. I decided to, while I was there doing this big job, I might as well just renew it. The other clutch was actually okay. It wasn't slipping and it was still working fine, but I'd probably have to go and do the clutch within a couple of years anyway. So I thought, well, it's all off now. I'm going to do it now, much to the disgust of my wallet. Brand new pressure plate. Okay, nice. And I've already had this pressed on. This is a brand new thrust bearing as well. The other one, the original one, had cracks in it. This one does not have cracks in it. Okay, so that's a good thing. Okay, so they're the three main parts, and then of course your bell housing, of course. So your clips and the circlip, and then of course your gears, the 2 gears that you take off the transfer case. Remember an earlier video you may have seen my bottom drive gear had been touching the case on the inside, the cover of the transfer case cover, and it's pretty much ruined that gear. So I'm going to source another gear. It's not, the gear isn't absolutely catastrophic yet, but I certainly wouldn't do hundreds of Ks on it now knowing, because that would just be, nail biting driving. I may possibly put it back on only so the car is movable, because I'm possibly in the middle of selling a house, so that's potentially coming up, so I want the car to be able to move. The reason being is if I can't source one in a hurry, I need to be able to move the car. So, but look, I'm not saying at all that gear is worth putting back on and leaving on. No, it's not. It has to be replaced. I'm pretty sure I've sourced a second-hand one for 600 Australian dollars. They're about $1,100-$1,200 brand new. So I think I can get a second-hand one. I'll just have to see. So if I get that before I've put that gear on, then I will put the brand new second-hand gear on rather than the other one, because that will save me from buying another $40 lock nut. But if I do have to put that on twice, the gear on twice, I will be replacing this nut. Even though I'll only use this once for a little bit, I'm still going to do it, because it's a Ferrari and I just like to have peace of mind. Remember the other nut? Yeah. Anyhow, I'm most likely going to make this video solely about the clutch, and I'll probably post it up as a clutch video, separate to the other side, which was doing the sandwich plate. Okay, so I'm about to get into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is open this packet and make sure my pilot bearing is the same. This bearing is actually pretty damn good, to be truthfully honest, but for the price of them, I think they're like $20. For the price of them, and because you're there, you might as well do it. They're not that difficult to get in and out. But yeah, hopefully it's the right one. I'm sure it is, and I'll film that as I'm tapping that in first. Okay, so that's going to be the next thing. I'll see you there. Okay, so I hope that's all in shot because it's a little bit tight under here and my camera is sort of stashed away so I can't actually see the viewfinder properly. I've sprayed just a tiny bit of CRC just in here just because the car's been sitting a few days with this exposed. So I'm just making sure that this inside surface is free from grit and dust. Just as a note, I compared the two bearings, the old one and the new one, just like spinning them in my fingers, you know, like this. And even though the other bearing felt pretty good, when you put it up against this one has absolutely nothing. There's no feel in it when it rolls. The other one, you could feel it just, like you could really feel just something there. So definitely worth replacing. So that's where he needs to be. So we're just going to seat him there. Now this is quite difficult in the sense of getting to it. So I'm going to do my best to try and get my hand under there to just start that tapping in. I did just try it a second ago and I sort of got it there, but okay, so I'm going to just start very, very carefully, just seating it. And then looking, that side's high. So as you can see, it's really tight in here. So I'm going to swing from the top. Put that side in. You really want to go in as square as you can. Of course, a little bit on that side. Doesn't seem to be going in square, does it? Give it a little tap. Seems to be pushing in that side more. This side here, doesn't seem to be going in square, and I don't know why that is. Starting to square up a bit now. I'm really working on this corner up here. That's looking much squarer. A little bit up the top. Okay, it's getting there. Once you've got most of it in, you know, like, well, as in, when I say most of it, most of what's going to actually go in, like that, it's pretty good. It looks a little bit high on this side to me, but it's going to be fine now. Now it's just a matter of trying to tap it in as evenly as possible from this point. Yeah, I'm feeling it go home now. That's feeling a lot more solid. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just have a look at it from different angles and just make sure that it appears to be the same height coming out. I may even measure it in some way, putting something against there, a rule or something, and just having a look and just checking to see if it is fairly flush. Needs to be seated well and truly in there. Anyway, I'll do that and I'll get back to you. Okay guys, that's in. I'm pretty happy with that. It's gone home as far as I can tell, and it all seems to be nice and even and flush around. You can kind of hear it go a bit solid when you're tapping it in. So that part of it is done, and as you can see, I've cleaned up this plate on the inside a little bit more than it was. The other side was spotless, but this side I didn't spend that much time on it. But you can see it's a lot cleaner this time. Might as well put a new seal in, so I might as well cleaned it up a little bit. It's good enough anyway. Now it's time for the flywheel to be attached back on, and I'll put that in, and then when I go to tighten it down, I will come back. I've got a little bit of light this time, that helps. Okay guys, as you can see, it's flywheel's there, and it's on there, and I've just sort of got it just hooked up there, so reference points. The top there, she's lined up, and my little ring plate here is also lined up where it's supposed to be. Okay, so Loctite 243. So I'm going to put a little bit on the bolts, and this one doesn't have any on it. It's just finger tied in there just to hold it in place. It's very warm here at the moment, so weather-wise. So my Loctite is really viscous, so a little bit of Loctite on there, not too much. It's probably plenty. It comes out very fast in this humid weather. So I'm going to start with this one here. I'm just going to finger it in. That's what you want to see, isn't it? Get that all the way. Okay, so I'm going to do that for each one. So the process, a little bit of Loctite. That's sort of all you need. I hope that's in shot. It's a bit hard to see. It's about 1 centimetre. We'll go here. That one's tightening up a little bit, but I'm still able to do it by hand, so that's not an issue. So what I'll do, I'll go through and do these. Just don't need to make you watch it. And then when I get back to the point when they're in and I'm going to start to tighten them down, I'll come back. Okay, so you probably just saw then I clicked two of them while I was looking at the crank, or should I say while the camera was filming the crank, just so I can just make sure that that's one. This is 40 foot-pound at the moment. A couple of these I've already clicked on. Which one did I do? Was it this one? Yeah. This is the one. Okay, so that one. 40. 40. Now, I'm really going to step it up. and go to 60 foot-pound and do exactly the same thing. 62 foot-pound and do exactly the same thing. So I'm just changing my torque wrench. That's 60. 1, 2. 62 foot-pound. Let's lock him in. I'm going to start with this one. Done. I'm going to go to this one. This one. That one. This one. And then the last two. And a bit of paint, and we're done. So now just going to go around and go from this dot here, from here, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on through, click them all through one more time, just in a circle like that, and then I'll be satisfied with that, and that should be good. Alright. Can't remember if I said the reason it started to move was I hadn't set my my socket on the other side. It was set to the wrong way, so it just started to spin, but I fixed that up. Alright, I shall return with the next step. Okay, so that's all done up to 62 foot-pound. Sweet. So now it's time to present the clutch plate to it, the friction plate. Now, I don't have a clutch alignment tool, and I'm not going to buy one. I'm going to make one. I've seen this trick on the internet, I like it, and I'm going to give it a go. So what you need, 3/8 extension. So you need something that's going to fit in there. Okay, preferably don't drop it, and some tape. That's all you need. Alright, I will make that and I'll come back and show you what I've done. Okay, to make this clutch alignment tool, all you need is 4 things. You need this, the 3/8 extension, some tape, you need the friction plate, and what I'm doing, to make life easy, I'm using the old bearing because I want this to match and that hole there. So I'm going to use tape to get that exactly right. So I want tape on the end of that to fit in there. Now I'm just going to check how deep I can go in. So going about that far. So about here, I believe. So now it's a matter of just winding that tape around nice and neatly until it matches the diameter of that. And then what you'll do is you'll do the same for the diameter of this one here. Obviously a little bit further back on here. Okay, so once I've got that done, I'll come back. Okay, I think I've got it right. So it was 15 millimeter hole there. So 15 mil on the vernier, and then 26, I believe it was. 26 mil for this one. Okay, so then proud side faces out. Normally there's something written on them, but in this case I don't see anything. That doesn't surprise me. But anyhow, that proud side is the side that goes against the friction plate. So, excuse me. So, tap it in and then place that on top. So that should fit and sit in there, just like that. Okay, so there's no movement. Well, when I say there's no movement, it's absolute minimal there. I'm wiggling it now and you can see it's absolutely minimal. And you should get that pretty well lined up. Let's find out. Alright, so we're going to tap him in very gently. I've already had it in here, so I know it does fit. So I'm going to push it a little bit until it goes home. We'll tap just gently. Get the hammer around there. You can hear that. Okay. And looking at it, it's pretty square. Okay. Now, with any luck, we're now going to put the friction plate up to it without damaging it. And on it goes. That's not bad. And that's pretty central, as you can see. So it's not a bad little trick. You could always measure here and measure here just to see if it's out at all. I mean, I'm getting a bit anal here, but just for my curiosity. I think I'm looking at 1 inch there. Looks a little bit less than 1 inch at the bottom, doesn't it? Oh. You could come up that little bit like that. Just that slight fraction. So it's slightly out. Needs to be there. Maybe I could make the pilot bearing hole one a little bit more snug. I mean, this weighs a bit, so. But as you can see, it's pretty good. It needs to be sitting there. So it needs to come up a bit. That's where it needs to be snug, square and snug. But it's not bad. Alright, I'll have a look into that and get back to you. Okay, you're probably wondering, why is the flywheel on the floor and not on the car? Well, the reason is I was using the old bolts to put the pressure plate onto the flywheel, and I wasn't anywhere near the torque, which is around 40 foot-pound. I wasn't anywhere near it, and I felt a couple of the bolts start to sort of turn a little bit, and then I heard that horrible sound of a bolt snapping, So I snapped the bolt somewhere around here. Oh well, I can't find it now. I know it's somewhere. I snapped one of these and had to pull off the flywheel and get it out. It wasn't hard to get out of the flywheel. It was just a pain to have to take the pressure plate and everything off again. So my advice, if you don't know how old your bolts are, get new ones. I mean, I probably should have done it in the first place, but I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking actually. So anyhow, new bolts, $5 worth, 8.8, so the correct grade, new washers, and hopefully that's going to make a difference. So I did a video with the pressure plate and put it all on, lined it all up and everything, and I deleted it. You're never going to see it, but I'm just letting you know that that's why the flywheel's back on the ground. So I'm going to put the flywheel back on. I'm not going to film that. I'm going to put the flywheel back on, and then I'm going to put the pressure plate back on to the point where I'm ready to put these bolts in and torque them up. I'm going to be really careful this time torquing them up. I'm only going to torque them to about 35 foot-pound at the most. I'm not recommending you do that, but I'm just going to I'm going to step them up. I'm going to do 20, 30, and then tweak them from there, because I don't want to snap another bolt. I don't want to take this flywheel off again. Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to get into that, and I will get back to you when I've got the pressure plate actually sitting on the car. Okay guys, friction plate and pressure plate are now on. I've lined it up. Don't know how well you can see that in the camera. I'm doing my best, holding a light in one hand and a very hot light, by the way, and the camera in the other. It's lined up pretty good as far as I'm concerned. I haven't torqued the bolts yet. I'm going to be really careful. Like I mentioned, that was the one that snapped, was in that thread there. Obviously it's a different bolt, so they're brand new bolts, 8.8, so they're automotive quality. I don't know if you can see how it's lined up, but it's pretty good. So I'm reasonably happy with that, so I'm gonna give that a shot. And it doesn't look lined up in the camera there, I know, but it is pretty square when you get down and look at it. Okay, it's pretty lined up, so it doesn't overly look it in the camera. But anyhow, I'm going to torque these down. Now it's saying 40 foot-pound, 55 newton meters, 54.2, but I'm going to step them. I'm going to start them with 20, and then I'm going to go to 30, and I'm only going to tighten them down if I feel like I'm going well past 35, then I'm going to be really careful with it, because I don't want to crack another one, because I don't want to take this off again. Anyhow, okay, I'll torque them down and I'll get back to you. Okay, about to torque down to 20 foot. There's one 20 foot-pound. That's just the start. I'm stepping this. It's 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just check if I didn't. Okay. Alright, so that was 20 foot-pound. I'm now going to do it to 30, and then potentially between 30 and 40 foot-pound. I do not want to snap another bolt, but these are brand new bolts now. The old ones are probably 30 years old. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move the camera out of the way so I can get this really accurate and get back to you. So the next step will be preparing the bell housing to mate with the engine. Okay, I'll get back to you. Okay, so I torqued them all down to 40 foot-pound. putting the new bolts in and the new washers was just a different experience. It really was. The confidence was there to pull that drive, you know, to 40 foot-pounds. So I recommend putting your bolts in for $5. It's worth it. Anyhow, all the new bolts are in. The one that played the problem, that one there, is fine. So they're all sweet. And I put a little bit of Loctite 246 on them, as well as I also did that for the flywheel, as you probably saw earlier in the video, even though the flywheel on there now is not the one I actually filmed, but it's the same deal. Alright, time to work on the bell housing.